All right, you talked about the Pro Bowl, which I guess a lot of people out there aren't watching. Let's move to the NBA, another team that folks aren't watching for some strange reason. In case you haven't checked the NBA standings, the Atlanta Hawks are on a tear.
Woo!
Best team in the East.
Woo!
This record is, if you saw this record, you do a double take. What are the Hawks doing? I mean, let's talk Hawks because they've earned it. They've earned it.
They definitely earned it. And their last loss came at home to the Milwaukee Bucks. Ever since then, they've been riding this long winning streak. So what are they doing? They're like the San Antonio Spurs of the East. Head coach Mike Budenholzer came from Greg Popovich's system. Danny Ferry came from R.C. Buford's system over there in San Antonio Spurs. So what they're doing is not a lot of big names. Jeff Teague, Paul Millsap, Al Horford. But they pass the ball. They work as a team. They work as a unit. A lot of synergy, where the parts are greater than the whole. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting basketball. I actually watched them play yesterday, play the Pistons yesterday. They got dominated on the boards yesterday, but the ability for them to just play 5 out, stretch everybody out, make jump shots, make the correct play. And then you have this sharpshooter by the name of Kyle Korver. That's just lighting folks up still at the age of 32. He's just
who loves you, Kyle?
Yeah, he's just lighting people up. So they're playing as a unit. They're playing as a team. Very interested to see how they would play in a playoff. So that's what I'm kind of excited to see, and who makes it as an all-star too as well.
You bring up good points. Playing great. The team aspect is there, and when you're being called the Spurs of the East, you're doing something right. Kyle Korver again. Miss you, bench mob, respect, but
C-Red
and all that. This is great for them. This is great. You talk about who can kind of take that next step, but in terms of next step, the playoffs. We've seen the way the Hawks have their playoff record, how that stands for them. So that's when you're really gonna see how serious they are, because they've usually been a one and done, or we'll get through off some kind of fluke injury or something like that. So in the playoffs, I think that's when you really could judge them. But if they can get this high seed, I mean, they can do some damage.
I mean, by the way that they're looking, they would probably be the number 1, number 2 seed. So they're probably looking at playing Charlotte or the Brooklyn Nets in the first round. Which
way to keep it going.
Keep it going. If the playoffs will start today, I would definitely see them being them in a 7-game series. But it's just interesting to see a team with so much turmoil. That organization has so much turmoil in the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. And for them to just put all that behind and just continue just to play ball, it's just they're an amazing team. But do you think that they're the best team in the East? And do you think they could represent the East moving forward, Ty?
I mean, I was quick to say no, but we talked about the Bulls and they went on their slump. Cavs still trying to find themselves. Pacers still not the same with everything they're kind of working out through there. So
Pacers not gonna make the playoffs, but
I gotta say yes. Right now they're the team in the East, but it's one thing to be it now. But when it really counts, again, then we'll see what it all means.
There are a couple of teams I want to see. I mean, you touched on Chicago, you touched on Cleveland, but there's 2 other teams that a lot of people aren't really talking about. The second team in the East, Washington Wizards. I want to see them match up against them, and Toronto. They got DeMar DeRozan back this past week, so I want to see them. I want to see them at full health match up against the Atlanta Hawks. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup,
especially with Washington's big men.
Exactly.